Welcome everyone to my Docker Basics course. My name is Mo Ali. You may know me from another course that I post on YouTube named Learning SaltStack, where I use SaltStack to do continuous configuration and deployment of various infrastructure changes. Now, what is Docker? Docker is an application that manages container images and running containers. Docker provides the ability to pull, push, build, and run containers using Docker CLI. Docker also has a repository known as a Docker Hub, where individual users or companies can post their Docker images for others to download and use. Now, what's a container? A container is a lightweight standalone executable package of a piece of software that includes everything needed to run it: code, runtime, system tools, system libraries, and settings. Available for both Linux and Windows-based apps, containerized software will always run the same, regardless of the environment. Containers isolate themselves from software from its surroundings. For example, differences between development and staging environment, and help reduce conflicts between teams running different software and the same infrastructure. That is a description by Docker themselves. A container is basically an image that runs on top of the OS, whether it's a VM or a host OS. Basically, it's an image that only carries the essentials to run a base, very lightweight operating system, and it may also include a application with it if it's a custom image. You can pull just the base lightweight operating system image of a container using Docker pull. You can get the latest CentOS, and it's like 200 megs at best. And that's just the OS. You can run that on top of your Ubuntu OS. Basically, the difference between a container and a VM is that a VM uses virtual devices to act as an OS. So you'll see like virtual CD drives, virtual memory, virtual CPUs, and so on. A container does not do that. A container uses the host or the guest VM's underlying infrastructure to run. It does not create fake virtual devices for it to go ahead and sustain itself. This is all provided by the Docker engine. For this course will cover the Docker CLI and the Docker file. It will not cover stuff like Kubernetes or Docker Swarm or Docker Compose. That will be on later courses. And I say courses because I will not cover all three on the same course outline. For this course, you'll need a Linux operating system. It's preferred. You can run Windows or Mac, however, you have to know its limitations, and you will not be able to follow this course outline smoothly as I will if you're repeating what I'm doing. You will also need a decent text editor. I use Sublime Text. If you've seen my Learning SaltStack videos, you've seen that I use Sublime Text. You're free to use whichever one you wish is the best. If you need recommendations, I'm going to recommend Sublime Text. If you want to copy what I have in my Sublime Text, let me know, and I'll go ahead and post my config somewhere for you to retrieve. The purpose of this course is to get you started and get comfortable with Docker. The course will give you enough know-how of Docker so you know what questions to search or ask. Now, my setup that I'm going to run for this course is I'm going to be using AWS, and I'm going to be using Ubuntu 16.04 for my base OS. My container OS may be CentOS or whichever one I feel like at the time, but my base OS will be Ubuntu. Your setup can be exactly like mine. You can use AWS with an Ubuntu 16.04, or you can use VirtualBox or VMware for your Linux machine. If you want to use a Linux machine and you don't have a Linux machine to begin with. If you do have a Linux machine to begin with, great. You're actually a step ahead of me because I'm on a Mac and I have to launch an instance. Anyways. If you're on a Windows or Mac, you may attempt to use a Windows or Mac. However, you should know its limitations because on a Mac, Docker, when you run the Docker engine, it acts as a VM, and then it goes inside the containers from there on. So you may run into some conflicts between network connectivity here and there that I may show on my course. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started.